to draft Zeke, but I mean, like Zeke still could be out there.
I'll tell you, man, Zeke, anywhere after 6, I'm all over it.
Oh yeah, no.
Day. I'd draft him over Saquon. Hello, neighbors. Thank you very much for joining another episode of Plug His Neighborhood, where I like to answer some questions for some fans, friends, and anybody who cares about my opinion. So, first question is from, who's it? Eonthemic? Eonthemic. You might want to put some spaces between there, Carlton. My God, man, you're killing me. Anyway, Eon the Mic asks, excuse me, it's hard to read this writing. Do you write these? Okay. Eon the Mic asks, can Aaron Rodgers be in the consideration of being drafted in mid or late rounds? Yes. Reason I say that, E, is because Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. No matter where he's at, he's going to be the starter and he's going to ball because he's Aaron Rodgers. Thanks for the question. What do you mean there's 2 questions? How does he get 2? That doesn't make any sense. Hold on. How much are you getting paid for this? And you better cut me in. You see the way that these cameras are facing? This way. Second question. What's up with the beard? Okay, man. So are people just talking crap about my beard now? I mean, I don't understand what is happening. Anyway, what's up with the beard is I'm hiding a small chin.
Welcome back to another brand new episode, E on the Mic, episode 33. I'm your host, E, aka Ethan. I got a special guest today. As you saw in that lovely intro, stealing my intro for some odd reason. This man hopping on my show, plugging in his show in there already. You know who it is. It's Jay the Plug. What's going on?
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me, E. What's happening, buddy?
Doing good, man. I love those questions I asked about. I knew the beer one was going to get you. I knew the beer one was definitely going to get you.
Yeah, man. Carlton, dude, we got to, in fact, get out. Shut the door behind you. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't need to be a clown. He does not. He needs to screen my letters more. Anyway, what's happening, man?
I'm doing good, man. You need some pay raise from all that. But I'm doing good, man. Just having a great finale with one and only Jay the Plug finally getting on my show. I've been trying to get you on my show for a long time now. I've been trying to track you down since like 1999, man. Come on.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate your patience so much, man. I'm honored to be on your finale. That's normally whenever people like to tune into these shows to see what happens, cliffhangers and stuff. Hopefully I can give you something, give your fans something to come back for.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna talk some fantasy football since I know you're an expert at that one for sure. But let's just take it back. Let's take it back to where Jay the Plug really started from, how he got into fantasy football. Yeah, I see that ring there. I know you flexing. I see that. I got my ring. It's invisible though, but But let's just take it back to where you first started loving fantasy football. How'd you get into this industry where you love talking about fantasy football?
Yeah, man. Well, I started fantasy football back in, I want to say 2008, which is kind of late for some people, like some analysts and stuff. Like you got Rank, who started like 20 years ago, and Matthew Berry, who started, Jesus, I think he invented it. But started back in 2008. A buddy of mine who, like when I was younger, I wanted to fit in, man. Like I would do anything, like just to be buddies with everybody. So they asked me to be in fantasy football. I didn't know anything about it. I've always been a football fan, more basketball in the past, but that's a whole other story for a whole other time. But so I started fantasy football that season. One of the few seasons, I think probably one of the only seasons that I didn't make the playoffs because I didn't know what I was doing. I drafted all Saints players. I mean, and then I just got completely drugged through the street. But I started talking about it and putting out I started the podcast and everything about a hair over a year ago, man, like last May.
Wow.
And because I got furloughed from work, because of COVID and everything started and all that nonsense. So they told me to just go home for a little while until business started picking back up. And my wife and I were sitting there. I was bored. She said, "Why don't you talk about fantasy football? You're obsessed with fantasy football. So why don't you just get out of my hair for a little bit and talk some fantasy football?" And a good buddy of mine who shout out Heroes and Kings, buddy of mine, Glenn, who owns that company, was talking about, his podcast. And I told him I've always been obsessed with football and fantasy football and stuff. He's like, "Man, why don't you just talk about it on a podcast?" Cool. He hooked me up with Anchor. That free, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Anchor.
I know what I'm talking about. That's how I first started.
Yeah, no free shout outs, by the way. Shout out Busting with the Boys. But so I started off with Anchor, and the rest is history. I started off with that 32 team, thing that I did last season, where I did every team, like the fantasy relevance, and just kind of took off from there. And here I am now, man. Just Fantasy Football Plug podcast, plugged in with Jay. With Warzone Sports Network now. Shout out Joe, Mike, all them boys over there. So yeah, they've been helping me move along and keep this train going.
Yeah, I know you're especially new addition to the Warzone, because I remember the Warzone just started out as Mike and Joe, and then it went to a lot of people right there, Yeah, but I know you had that Darren. But I noticed you had the Darren Waller jersey in the background. I know you met Darren Waller. I think you went to his house not too long ago, haven't you?
He came to mine, man.
Oh, he came to your house?
Wow. Yeah. I reached out to him the way I do. These guys who I've just been extremely blessed to have some of these guys on my show.
Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, Ian Rappaport, Adam Rank, Michael F. Florio, Marcus Grant. Those are, the fantasy analysts. And then, of course, Michael Rappaport, who's like the man when it comes to breaking news. I told him I try to be like him. So anytime I break news on my page, I always tag him in it. And he's like, "Dude, how are you getting this?" But I'm just faster with it. He does the whole filters and all that stuff. But his word means more than mine, so he can take his time. Yeah, I've been real blessed to have some great interviews. But Waller, D all came over to the house. We did the interview downstairs, and then we've actually struck up a friendship. I've been real blessed to become friends with a lot of these guys and still keep in touch with them daily. I talked to him just this morning a little bit about training camp and stuff and how he's doing. Going to be going and checking him out for the Bears game in October. So I'm looking forward to that, going to see him in Vegas. Yeah, man, he came over here. We had some dinner, just discussed everything. That guy's got one of the coolest stories. If y'all haven't seen it, probably one of the best ways to see it. I would love to say, just go check out my interview with him. I talk more about music and fantasy football and stuff with him, because the story that he has in his life of overcoming all that adversity and what's the word I'm looking for? Addiction and everything. Like it's just unbelievable. This dude is incredible and just the nicest guy on earth. Go check it out, man. Him and Steve Smith Sr. have an interview that's unbelievable on YouTube. Everybody, and they're about to win an award for it. It's that good.
Wow.
So, but yeah, man, he's a pal. It's weird whenever I asked him for the signed jersey. I don't like asking these guys for things now that like we keep in touch, but it's like, got to.
Yeah, I get you. He came over. He overcame a lot of things in life, especially. I remember seeing that documentary. Man, that man was at one point in his life was like really down. I was like, man,
dude, it's unbelievable, man.
Turning from that to an all-pro tight end in this NFL is crazy.
That just goes to show the talent that this dude had, man. He was drunk on the sidelines, like going around and passing around his Gatorade bottle just so people could sniff it, and it's like straight vodka, and it's like, dude, like that. That just go. It's and he overcame that. So you can state these kind of things, but like it's the fact that he could still ball out doing that type of stuff, and now how great he is with overcoming all that and getting through it. It's just an incredible story.
Tremendous. But I know he definitely helped me in fantasy last year, though. I'll tell you that, especially last year.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, I picked him. You know what's funny? I picked him mid-round, actually, and no one picked him up. And then it actually came out good for me because I was like, oh, shoot. Let me get Darren Waller. Maybe he'd do something for me this year. Hey, he did good. He did good for me. I love Darren Waller, though, from that and as a player. from that documentary as well.
Yeah, dude. I picked him up the end of the draft in 2019, and everybody's like, who the hell is this guy? But I saw him on Hard Knocks, and I was like, I really like the way this guy's turned. I think he's going to be something. And man, he ended up killing it for me. Killing it. So now, of course, he's going in like in the first 3 rounds. I'm like, damn it. So we're in a fantasy football league together, the Pace League. Shout out Justin, Clock Management. Sorry, I keep giving shout outs to everybody, but like we got the Pace League, which is for charity. Waller's one of the guys who's actually in it. Now everybody's sitting back to see who's going to draft him first. They're all wondering if he's going to draft himself first overall and all that. He won't tell me who he's drafting first. He's keeping that real.
Oh, of course, you always have to keep
close to best.
You always gotta keep it serious if especially the number 1 guy. So you always gotta make sure you be quiet, or else you're like, all right, he's gonna pick this guy, so I already gotta know what I'm picking already. Let's say at number 4, for example. So I know how that feels. I know how that feels.
Yeah.
But speaking of fantasy, let's talk about some fantasy football with you, man. Let's start it out first. So we all know that Julio Jones got traded last week to the Tennessee Titans. Of course, it's definitely gonna impact a lot of players like Matt Ryan, Tannehill, AJ Brown, Ridley, and the new draftee Kyle Pitts. So what do you expect from all those players that I just mentioned there? How the fantasy will go up or down?
Man, I think Matt Ryan's going to stay right where he's at. I think he's still going to be a top 10 quarterback in fantasy, because it's just like next man up. That's the easiest way to say it. Like Calvin Ridley is going to eat, man. I mean, he had about 11.3, a hair over 11 targets a game with Julio out. I mean, he was at like 8 before that. Like whenever Julio was in, he's going to be the top target in Atlanta. Kyle Pitts is going to be right there next to him. Matt Ryan obviously likes, targeting his tight ends. When he had Tony Gonzalez, he killed it. Hayden Hurst, everybody thought he was going to be a monster, and Hayden Hurst is skilled enough to where he would be able to. He's a very good receiving tight end, but Kyle Pitts is otherworldly. They call him a generational talent because you don't find a tight end like that very often, man. That dude is a receiver, just a monster. Russell Gage is going to be, I think Russell Gage is going to move into the Calvin. Well, you know what? I think Calvin Ridley is going to move into the Julio role. I think Kyle Pitts is going to move into the
second role,
Calvin Ridley role from before. And then Russell Gage is going to pick up the scraps. And you got Zach Ryans. They call him Z. Let's just say that Z is going to pick up down the, he's going to be a pretty good stash and play. That's one of those guys that I'm going to just let go. That receiver, we'll just call him Z because his last name is insane, but he's going to be one of those guys that's going to get picked up off the waiver wires because he's going to have one game that he's just going to ball out. And he might have more than that. Because, I mean, Matt Ryan loves to throw the ball. But I think everybody besides Matt Ryan takes a step up. Like Mike Davis is going to be – he's getting drafted like, God, man, I've seen him 5th, 6th round. That's a phenomenal spot to draft a running back who's going to get all the carries. It's insane. And he can catch the ball out of the backfield well, too. So I think Atlanta's definitely still, even without Julio Jones, definitely an offense everybody needs to look into. Like, my Saints, it's kind of tough to say because Breeze leaves. Matt Ryan's still there. So the ball is going to be distributed everywhere. So they're definitely people I would, Pitts is definitely somebody who you'd want. If I'm not getting Kelsey, Kittle, or Waller, I'm going for Pitts. Hawkinson's going to be up there, but they're going to go pretty early. Pitts has been going pretty late, fairly late. He's going higher and higher now because everybody starts going on a tight end run, but definitely an offense to mess with is Atlanta's. Anybody on Atlanta's offense, I want a piece of. It's just like Kansas City.
What do you think about Tennessee Titans now with the new addition Julio Jones? Does that affect AJ Brown or Tannehill?
Man, it's definitely going to help them real NFL wise. Fantasy, it's going to help Ryan Tannehill for sure. Because Tannehill, if he ever just decides to throw a ball on either side of the field, AJ Brown's there, Julio Jones there. I mean, I think it's going to help AJ Brown more than it helps Julio, to be honest, because AJ Brown has the rapport. And people say, that's kind of crazy because it's Julio Jones. It doesn't make a difference where he goes. He's going to have that rapport because everybody wants to give him the ball, which makes sense. You throw the ball anywhere in the guy's vicinity, chances are Julio's coming down with it unless it's just ridiculous. But I think AJ Brown's gonna benefit from this more because AJ Brown's not gonna get double teamed so much. Julio Jones is still gonna be Julio. So as long as he can stay healthy, Julio's definitely worth where he's going. Like people are just waiting on Julio Jones. I would draft Julio Jones and AJ Brown in the same round, honestly. Julio Jones is still Julio Jones if he's healthy.
If he's healthy, that's correct.
If he's healthy. So if I had to draft, like say if they were both sitting there at in the third round, I'm taking AJ Brown before I take Julio Jones.
Agreed.
Because AJ Brown has it proved with Ryan Tannehill that he's going to be the number one option there. Julio Jones has yet to get a rapport with Ryan Tannehill. However, it is still Julio Jones. Ferkser, their tight end, is going to benefit from this a lot. He's going to be left alone a lot, and he's a monster, and the dude can catch the ball. Like last season, whenever Jonnu Smith went down, Ferkser stepped up, and he played really well. I got him off of waivers pretty quick. He was one of my my waiver wire grabs last season. He was really good. Derrick Henry's still going to be Derrick Henry, man. They're going to run the ball more than anything all the time. And they're not going to be able to stack too many boxes against this Julio Jones and AJ Brown, running up the field. So Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are both going to benefit from this the most out of all of them. Then you got Ryan Tannehill. Well, let's see. You got Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Ferkser.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That team revolves around Henry. If Henry does not have a good game, that team is out of the picture, especially their defense. Especially a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the tight ends are going to be this year's Super Bowl contenders." I'm like,
"Oh yeah, dude. If
they got all hype because of Julio Jones." I was like, "Really?
Yeah.
Y'all forgot about the defense last year, giving up 41 points at Cleveland?"
Yeah,
Everyone forgets about that.
I'll tell you, Taylor Lewan as well. If Taylor Lewan is healthy, which it sounded like his leg is all good, Derrick Henry is going to be a monster. I would dare to say that Derrick Henry would be worth the one overall pick if in standard leagues. Even 0.5 PPR, he and Christian McCaffrey are right there with me, man. Seriously. He's going to keep balling. Everybody's, he's going to regress. Of course he's going to. Regression is the worst argument for a draft. I'm sorry. It's the worst argument possible for anybody to say, don't draft this guy because he's going to regress. So what? Great. Let him regress. He's going to regress from what? 2,000 plus rushing yards? Okay. To what? 1,900? Oh, don't even touch him. I mean, come on. Regression is inevitable, but it's whenever he feels like he's going to be regressing. Supposedly he feels completely healthy. So I'm all in on Derrick Henry for sure.
No, I agree. Especially if everyone hits the panic button really quickly on that. It's like, all right, panic. Gotta let him go. It's kind of like the Zeke situation a little bit. It's like, okay, panic.
Seriously, man.
Get rid of him. Don't touch him, please.
Yeah, for real.
Not that I'm gonna draft Zeke, but Zeke still could be out there.
I'll tell you, man. Zeke, anywhere after 6, I'm all over it.
Oh yeah, no.
Day. I'd draft him over Saquon for sure. I know that sounds crazy, but all this nonsense they keep saying, coach speak is out there. So like a lot of times they're gonna say, well, Saquon's gonna be on a pitch count. He's gonna do this. He might not be. He might be Saquon of days of old, man. He might just ball out, and I hope he does. I really do. But if I've got him and Zeke, I'm picking Zeke. Zeke doesn't have the injury issues. Zeke gets fed the ball constantly. Even on a crummy year last year, he still had 1,300 plus yards from scrimmage and 9 touchdowns. And people are hating on Zeke. Hate on him all you want. Please, God, let me get it like 6 or 7 in the draft. Like, I don't even have to be number 1. You get Zeke that late, all day.
Okay. Jay the Plug speaking facts on the E on the Mic show. All right. Now let me hit you one with this one since I got this question for you. Which player do you think that you're least interested in redrafting this year in fantasy?
Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, really?
Every season, I don't want Nick Chubb.
Wow.
He's a juggernaut. Okay, let me preface it. Like, he's an incredible player. The dude can. It's hard to explain exactly his skill set because it's just so vast. The problem is you have Kareem Hunt there. who I play PPR leagues. If it's a standard league, Nick Chubb is definitely worth top 10 easy. I cannot bring myself to pull the trigger on Nick Chubb because of Kareem Hunt and how Kareem Hunt has outscored Nick Chubb every season in a PPR format. Why not wait 2, 3, possibly 3 rounds to grab Kareem Hunt and get somebody else when, instead of drafting Nick Chubb? You can get like a, at that part of the draft, you could get like a Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, or you can get somebody who's like number 1 at their position. Travis Kelce, I have no hate on anybody getting him in the first round now. Toward the end of the first round, no hate at all, because that dude is outscoring top tier wide receivers. He's a freak. So that's the only tight end that I would grab anywhere near the first round, of course. But you can go after somebody else. I have no fault on anybody who decides to draft Nick Chubb, none at all, because he obviously gets stuff done. He also gets injured. He gets injured, doesn't catch the ball a whole lot out of the backfield. So Nick Chubb is a guy I'm not touching.
Yeah, now that I think of it, when you think of PPR, yeah, because they rely on points, because especially receiving yards. Like I know Julian Edelman, for example, was a prime example of how he's very crucial. He catches a lot of passes, and that for PPR, I understand for standard league, which I know I'm running a league right now was a standard because everyone's like, oh my gosh, PPR is too hard. It's gonna be really crucial at the end. Yeah, I know, but listen, like they understand it, but I just do a standard. But I understand that point though, because of Nick Chubb, he doesn't catch well because you have Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt can do both. He can catch and he can run. So I will understand that point there. The one that I'm kind of like very weary, while at least interested in redrafting, is Joshua Jacobs. The only reason why I'm like really interested not getting Joshua Jacobs is because, one, they just added Kenyon Drake into the mix. So it's like, okay, so who's going to be the guy who's going to catching the ball? Is it Jacobs? Is it Drake? It's most likely to be Drake last time I checked. And there's going to be a mix. So there's not going to be a lot of balls off to Joshua Jacobs more than Kenyon Drake, because they're both great, powerful running backs, which that scares me to redraft, especially when you can get somebody else like they probably CMC there. Derrick Henry's still going to be there, Alvin Kamara. So I wouldn't redraft Joshua Jacobs for me.
Completely agree with that. If Josh Jacobs is sitting there, I'm looking at a wide receiver, because he's normally going in third round, late second. The volume, the touches are going to be there, I think, but Kenyon Drake is going to be catching a lot of balls out of the backfield. He's also going to get touches as well. Like John Gruden loves Kenyon Drake. It shows this dude secured the bag for the time that he's supposed to be there. And a lot of it is guaranteed. So they're going to make sure they use their new stud that they just got, because look, Kenyon Drake, if he's put in the right system, he could be a top running back. He could be a running back 1 for a team. He really could. People are going to say I'm crazy and argue it and all that stuff, but whatever, man. I try not to curse, so I'm holding it back and I'm thinking of what I can say exactly. But I mean, miss me with that, man. Like Kenyon Drake is in the NFL for a reason. All these players in the NFL for a reason, but he shows that if he's given the workload, he can go somewhere with it. And the Raiders have a decent offensive line. So I'm hoping to see Kenyon Drake ball out. But if I'm picking up, it's another thing, just like you were saying, man. Exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. It's the same situation with him and Kareem Hunt. So I'd rather wait for Kenyon Drake, just like I'm waiting for Kareem Hunt.
I totally agree there, especially since we're going to play him this year. So that's going to be great. Coming right back to seeing his old team at the Las Vegas Coliseum, as they call it, or whatever they call that damn stadium at this point. All I know is Miami beat them there. That's all I care. That's all I care about, Joe Morley. If you're listening to this part right here. Yes, Chris Patrick.
Shout out, Joe.
Listen, I had my jokes on you, and then you joked me right back with your magical ball near the end of Miami losing the playoffs. Go blank yourself. That's a guy, but I love you, Joe. I love you. You know that.
Man, there's a funny story. Like when Waller came over, I know Joe's a huge Raiders fan and loves Darren Waller, so we FaceTimed Joe.
Yeah.
And do you curse on your show?
Yeah, it happened, so why not? My old teammate did it, so why not? He can do it.
You can bleep it out if you want. It's totally cool. But I gave the phone to Waller and I said, "Tell this guy to go fuck himself." And he did. He got on. He's like, "What's up, Joe, man? Somebody over here told me to tell you to go fuck yourself. Have a good day." It's one of my favorite memories, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. I bet that didn't make his day after that.
Yeah, man. He was like, "Thanks so much for having Waller tell me to go fuck myself, man. Thanks." I'm like, okay, it didn't kind of land the way I kind of hoped it did. No, Joe and I love Joe, man. He started it though. I always tell him, "Don't start none, won't be none." And this dude started talking shit to me from like day 2 of knowing him. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then we just kind of have that relationship. But yeah, he's one of my favorite people, man. He's cool.
Oh, of course. You got me on the war zone, so that's how it goes. You got him on there. But Jay, man, I appreciate you coming on the season finale. Actually, appreciate you coming on to the show, man. As always, man. I always love the hat. You always get me with the hat, also too.
It was my pleasure, buddy. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, dude. I appreciate it.
Every time I see that hat, I always think of top of the morning too, lad. I'm like, oh my God.
Like a leprechaun?
Yes, I think. I'm like, oh my God, no. It doesn't remind me, or you're about to pull a magic trick off your hat. I swear to God. I'm being honest. I'm just being honest. That's what I just
fine, man. As long as you don't come after me, pot of gold, we're good, man.
Oh, of course. We're good. We're good. It's not like I already have it already, so it's all good. It's anyway.
Oh, man.
But once again, Jay, I appreciate you coming on the show. As always.
My pleasure, buddy. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
But just to end it off, this is not the finale of me. Of course, everybody that's now to the ending part of this show. I am just taking a month break or so before the football season ends, just to go on other people's podcasts, just kind of enjoying myself, just kind of getting relaxing just from the podcasting of my show. Just want to get out to more podcasters out there, just collaborate with more people out there. So that's why I'm bringing the season finale today as I speak. But don't worry, I'll be back. I will be talking about my Fins. I hope the Fins can make it to the playoffs finally since 2016. It's all good. And hopefully I can get back-to-back in fantasy football champion like me and Jake are about to do.
I'm here for you, brother. You need any help, man, I got you. You're pretty good, though. I don't know if you really need me that much, but just in case, I got your back, bro.
Oh, no, don't worry. Trust me. Oh, no, don't trust me. I probably will. If I'm being honest, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I finally won one last year, so I'm on top of the game. Just want to let my league know that before I end it off.
He's coming for y'all, man. He's coming for y'all.
I always appreciate you guys. Listen to E on the Mic, episode 33. I'm your host, E, and I'll see you on the next season. And go Fins. Till then, see you then.